supporters? Well, we are in the aftermath, the fallout of what we saw last night between the Indiana Fever and an expansion team, the Portland Fire. A blowout loss in which we have seen the Indiana Fever take real fire from fans. They're upset, they're livid, they're done with method.
One glance from the sideline, a couple of puzzling defensive rotations, and suddenly the internet is treating the situation like a trial with no one in charge. Caitlin Clark appears completely focused, the bench seems uncertain, and fans are already talking about coaching changes as if they are handing out notices at a massive clearance event. Now, everyone is asking the same question that few expected to come up after this game. What is really happening behind those substitution decisions? And why does every explanation seem more troubling than the one before it?
To play, this wasn't just a normal coaching moment. During an active disagreement with Caitlin Clark, Stephanie White appeared to turn and signal for Raven Johnson while Caitlin Clark was standing right in her face. This is her superstar, a franchise player we are talking about. There's already a narrative that this is why they drafted Raven to replace Caitlin in the first place. So whether the substitution itself was justified or not, it clearly wasn't to me. And I'm gonna just play it for you guys first so you guys get a good understanding of what I'm talking about. So as you can see, Stephanie White is going off on Caitlin Clark.
Before we continue, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. You will not want to miss what comes next. On a memorable night in Indianapolis, the scoreboard painted one picture, but the action on the court suggested something entirely different. By the time the final buzzer sounded throughout the arena, the conversation online had shifted away from the final outcome. Instead, fans were focused on how one of the league's biggest stars appeared to be fading from the spotlight right before their eyes, while those around her acted as though everything was perfectly normal.
Everything is burning down while the house is on fire, while Caitlin Clark fans have pitchforks in their hands, and rightfully so, marching, stomping, rioting, demanding change, as we should. Christy sides. She peeks in a little bit. From time to time, Chrissy Sides peeks in to monitor the situation. Hey, what's going on over there? Oh, damn. Stephanie really ain't getting it done like I thought she would, huh?
Because when a team suffers a lopsided defeat, most people usually point to defensive breakdowns, costly turnovers, or poor shooting. But this game had fans focusing on something much more unsettling. They zeroed in on the way Caitlin Clark was being managed throughout the night, play after play, substitution after substitution. To many observers, it seemed as though the offense was being directed away from her rather than running through her. That perception is exactly what sparked growing frustration and set off a wave of criticism among fans.
Is that this is a fork in the road type defeat. This is where you audit whoever you are going to be for the season. This is where you got to look and decide what identity is this team. And Stephanie White, the time has come. I have been cooler than a fan when it comes to talking about Stephanie White because, quite frankly, I think there's a lot that gets dumped on her that might not necessarily be her fault.
The matchup had already attracted plenty of attention, with the Indiana Fever entering what was expected to be a defining opportunity to make a statement. Instead, it became a frustrating night where momentum shifted constantly and never stayed with either side long enough to make a lasting impact. Each time Caitlin Clark appeared ready to settle into a rhythm and take control of the game, something from the sideline seemed to disrupt that progress at exactly the wrong moment. As a result, viewers were left puzzled, and with every interruption, the reactions from fans grew louder and more critical.
Tend to be a bit skeptical with the constant overreactions from Caitlin Clark fans, mainly because it seems to happen after every game. My shining star is being mistreated. Stephanie White hates her. It's not fair. They're like the boys who cried Clark. After every game, there seems to be an overreaction. A couple weeks ago, the Indiana Clarks announced around 90 minutes before tip-off that their only star would be missing their game against the Portland Fire.
Then came the sequence that set social media on fire. It was not a game-winning shot or a spectacular highlight play. Instead, it was a series of substitutions that left fans convinced there was a larger issue unfolding behind the scenes. Time and again, Caitlin Clark seemed to be finding her groove, reading defensive schemes, increasing the pace, and creating opportunities for her teammates. Yet just as she began to influence the game, she would suddenly find herself back on the bench, watching from the sidelines as the momentum she had helped build quickly disappeared. That was the point when the discussion moved beyond what had gone wrong on the court and shifted toward a different question. Why does this keep happening? Before long, attention turned directly toward the coaching staff and the decisions being made in those crucial moments. Fans began questioning whether Indiana Fever leadership truly recognizes the value of a player who attracts this level of attention and impact every time she steps onto the floor. The unusual part was that nothing in Caitlin Clark's demeanor suggested she was dealing with an injury or lacking confidence. She appeared fully engaged, energetic, and eager to keep pushing the pace whenever she was on the floor. Yet the rotation patterns repeatedly interrupted any momentum she managed to build. In a league where elite guards often thrive on rhythm and continuity, that kind of stop-and-start usage began to feel less like a tactical adjustment and more like an obstacle, whether intentional or not. That perception only added fuel to the growing debate. Although the coaching staff never publicly indicated that anything out of the ordinary was taking place, their silence did little to quiet the speculation. By that point, many viewers believed they were witnessing a recurring pattern. And once fans become convinced a pattern exists, even ordinary circumstances can start to look deliberate, especially when the player involved is someone as closely scrutinized and widely discussed as Caitlin Clark be.
And now, on top of everything else, just coming off of them having words the other day during a game, we've got more footage of Caitlin Clark and Stephanie White going at it. You know, my boy Rudy over at the Come On Now podcast said he believes the locker room may be fractured. I saw a comment a minute ago.
What made the situation even more frustrating was how rapidly the game began slipping away as those rotations became more frequent. Each time the pace changed with Caitlin Clark off the court, the Indiana Fever appeared to have trouble maintaining control, and the momentum shifts became so noticeable that even neutral observers started raising the same concern. The question was simple: why is the player who seems to bring the most stability to the offense spending so much time away from it? At that point, the criticism expanded beyond a single game. Fans began looking back at previous matchups and identifying similar stretches in which Clark would come out strong, build momentum early, and then see that rhythm interrupted during key moments. The controversy grew because many fans felt there was a disconnect between Caitlin Clark's impact and how often she was involved. Every time she left the floor, Indiana's offense appeared less organized, fueling criticism of the team's rotations and overall approach. While some supporters accused the Fever of mishandling her role, reports indicated Clark removed herself from the game due to her back issue, not because of any conspiracy. Still, the debate has continued because the team often looks more dynamic when she is directing the offense. As a result, every substitution and coaching decision is now being heavily scrutinized, with fans questioning whether Indiana is fully maximizing the influence of its biggest star. Until the team establishes a clearer identity and more consistent results, those questions are unlikely to disappear.